So, in 2019, I went to get a new pair of glasses. Yep, that's where this all started. The wonderful woman in Specsavers noticed there was something wrong with my right eye and sent me for a series of tests which led to the discovery of a small brain tumour. Excuse me, sorry. I was told at the neuro-oncology meeting on the 2nd of July that I would be laughing in 3 months' time. However, at the age of 22, just 10 days before my birthday, I really couldn't see much to laugh about. The news was crushing and I could have easily been broken, but if it wasn't for the friends and family I had around me, I really wouldn't have been where I am today. Where I am 26, in a job I love, and mentally stronger than I've ever been before. And that is what I want to talk about today. Initially, I believed the doctors when they told me it was curable and I would be fine in 3 months' time. Looking back on it now, that was relatively naive, I'll admit. But it did foster a belief. I wasn't expecting to laugh at that point, but it did foster a belief that I would survive and I could go about knowing that this wasn't the end. And that was very important for me. This newfound belief in my survival helped me through the initial challenges of... Sorry, the desk's falling apart. The initial challenges of medical meetings where I was told 3 months radiotherapy and you'll be fine, which changed to 16 weeks of residential chemo and you'll be fine, to I won't treat this without a biopsy, to I can't biopsy that safely. All with 3-hour waiting sessions while I was trying to maintain a job. All of this was certainly helped by my learning to meditate, which gave me more clarity of thought and energy than I'd had in my entire life. I also have my family, and in particular my mother, to thank for all the support. Within weeks, I had second and third opinions to find out a diagnosis all across the country. This meant that when I got the call to say that the tumour had grown large enough to be biopsied, I was able to confidently email the surgeon myself, and I was able to go in and lead the charge into that surgery. I still remember sitting in the waiting room for some of those appointments, looking around me and seeing people younger than me, sat alone and undoubtedly nervous of what the meetings would bring. It was hard not to feel incredibly grateful for my family around me and my sister at home baking brownies or raising £10,000 for cancer research. It may sound like a cliche, but when you're faced with the situation that many of us were faced with, you really do have to look on the bright side of life. Better. Good old Eric Idle. Sounds oversimplified, but if you go in with a positive, if you're going into a surgery where there's a 20% chance of being killed and a 40% chance of paralysis, having a positive mindset really is very important. Yeah. The week before the surgery, I've been discussing my various fears with my psychologist. Obviously, I won't have time to go into all of those fears today. But she pointed out that worrying about things I couldn't control would lead to anxiety and just wouldn't help anything. So I trained myself to just not worry and just go in. And this meant that when so through letting go of things I can control, meditation and yoga, I was able to go into the surgery with a positive attitude. The yoga is even, with confidence in my survival and very little fear overall. I'd also been working hard to record music, and while I'm yet to return to the studio, having a notebook around me with songs in progress and just jottings of random ideas really helped to keep my mind active and provide an outlet for all the various fears and anxieties I had. After a day of waiting for the surgery, to determine I didn't have COVID, I woke up on the morning ready to rock. Actually, more ready than my surgical team. By the time they were ready, I was wheeled down to have the fiducials fitted to my skull. This was an interesting, to say the least, process because it was done under local anaesthetic. And so I was awake when I heard the scrapings of bone going into my head. And all of these noises actually gave me the ability to talk more about football than I'd ever had in my life. Anything to distract from the sounds. Seriously, it was scrape. So you're a Liverpool fan, eh? After that, I was wheeled back to the ward to wait for the scan that would guide the biopsy. That afternoon was an unpleasant one. The fiducials were fitted all around my head, so I had to lie completely still. Otherwise, I'd get a searing pain in my skull. I tried to sleep and rest, but whenever I turned my head even slightly, I was woken up with that pain. After an afternoon of short and very disturbed power naps, I was wheeled down to be scanned. Excuse me. Yes. The surgery was successful, as I trained myself to believe it would be. We were able to discover that it was diagnosed as a curable germinoma in the midbrain, and it would be treated with 6 weeks of proton therapy in Manchester. Not quite the radiation vacation you described. A little bit jealous there, but we'll let that go. Yeah, Hollywood, Manchester. Yeah. Well, I think I know where I'd be, but even so. Proton therapy was a very interesting experience. It's not actually that newer treatment, but for some reason it lacks any real research and therefore answers to any of my questions. When I first went to the woman in charge of my care, I asked when I could expect to return to work. She told me it would be within 6 to 8 weeks after treatment finished. It wasn't that. After treatment, I was admitted in September 2020 to UCH because my brain is swollen. This led to a debilitating case of a debilitating course of steroids, starting with dexamethasone, which led to fatigue and all the other related issues, and I'm still coming off these steroids now. When I first reported the fatigue to my doctors, I was told to just rest and eat, and one doctor even told me to lie in a hammock and eat some chocolate. And while that sounds like a great solution, didn't really help, unfortunately. In 1 week, I lost 10 kilograms of weight because I was unable to eat, but the doctors were still unable to tell me what was going on. So after that, I returned to my various strategies that I'd enforced after the biopsy. Yoga once a week, meditating, and trying to go for a short walk every day, even on the days where I woke up barely able to move. The yoga has actually led to me looking to get qualified as a teacher this year, and I hope to use that qualification to teach neurorehabilitative yoga, which I've been told isn't currently a thing, but it really helped me in my recovery, so we'll see how that goes. It's hard not to think about the people who are sat alone waiting for their appointments. I honestly don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for my family and my friends I had around me and all the support network. But looking at the people sat alone, it's become very, very clear to me over the last few years that rehab and recovery is not an individual process. It's a team sport, and Success hopes to provide that team. So I'd just like to wish the very best of success to Success. Thank you.